As long as we're experiencing form, we will be experiencing evolution. Evolution happens in form. Form is where change happens. It's where growth happens. It's where maturation happens. So as long as we're experiencing form, we're going to be experiencing evolution. Now, there's two aspects of yourself. In essence, you are never changing. And in expression, you are ever changing. Expression is form. Form is where we experience evolution as what we typically call becoming. So being is what we are, and becoming is what we do. Now, after you experience your formless nature, you see that it's not the end of becoming. This is where there's a little bit of misunderstanding in non-duality, where it makes the realization of our formless nature the end point. There's no one here, there's nothing to do. And you see that we can fall into the trap of denying life, right? Denying the expression of life. And that's not what I share. What I share is the wholeness of life, living totally. So this realization of our empty nature, our formless nature, is just a phase. It's a stage. And really there's more to be realized. It's an incomplete understanding. And as you integrate the relative, you start experiencing more and more integration. It's by actually embodying your formless nature, embodying the freedom that you are through living fully, integrating the relative life, that you then experience your totality, your wholeness, your fullness. Wholeness includes everything. So you see that when we're simply swapping one world for another, then it's just seen as an escape. I'm not this, I'm that. And you see, that's the nature of the mind. To the mind, there's only this and that. It can't comprehend, it can't understand a paradox. And the paradox is that you're this and that, both simultaneously. So what appears to be a paradox to the mind is actually a harmony to the heart. You see that the paradox can't be understood. It can only be lived. So this paradox of becoming and being, or relative and absolute, or emptiness and form, journey and destination, samsara and nirvana, you see that actually they're not opposites. They're not opposites. They're like two sides of the same coin. And the true non-duality is that which does not exclude one over the other. For that would be just another duality. It would be another form of separation. So when we deny the expression of life, there's nobody here, there's nothing to do, and deny evolution, growth, maturation, then it can feel like there's a stagnation. It can feel like you're not experiencing the flow of life because there's actually a suppressing of your expression. And your expression is the relative. Your expression is form. So you see that actually what changes after realizing your empty nature, your formless nature, is that the becoming is not a becoming where you're seeking your true nature, but more that you are celebrating your true nature. You're sharing your true nature. So you're not anti-doing. I can't do that because I'm just simply being. No, the being and the doing are one. Like I said, being is what you are. Becoming is what you do. And this becoming, after the realization of our formless nature, is self-expression. So you see that you're actually your creative expression, actually it flowers after the realization of your true nature. And this is really the process of integration. By integrating all aspects of yourself, there's no suppression, right? You're not rejecting any parts of yourself. See, by rejecting the expression of life, you're still rejecting parts of yourself. It's just on a grand scale. So it's by allowing all parts of yourself to be expressed that then you experience this unity, the integration. This is what true integrity is. Integrity is wholeness, where you're undivided, you're whole. And you experience this as, we can call it the flowering of the human being. And the flowering of the human being is really individuality. You see that the universe is expressing itself as individuality. Universality is individuality. So the flowering of the human being then is allowed because there's no resistance. And you see that this is the true integration, where you're not simply trying to escape relative life and clinging, attaching, identifying with the absolute. I'm not this, I'm that. But actually remaining non-attached. The middle way, non-attachment. You're neither identifying with this or that. And instead, you are experiencing both this and that. And this is what allows integration, because now you're not picking sides. Because as soon as you identify with either this or that, there's going to be opposition within you. There's going to be resistance within you. There's going to be suppression within you. And it won't feel complete. So it's neither attaching to this or that, but it's experiencing this and that simultaneously. Like I said, it's a paradox that cannot be understood, but can only be lived. It's much like freedom. Freedom can't be gained. It can only be lived. And to just realize our formless nature is like realizing one side of freedom. See, there's a freedom from, but there's also a freedom to. So the freedom from life circumstances, life conditioning, the freedom from suffering is just one side of freedom. But there's also the freedom to, which is the freedom to live, the freedom to live fully, the freedom to be free, to live freely, to live fully. Right? So this is the embodiment of freedom. This is living freedom. Right? Like I said, freedom cannot be gained. It's not something that you say, oh, I'm not this, I'm that, and then you're identifying with freedom and conceptualizing it, where then you seem to have captured freedom. Freedom cannot be captured. If it was captured, it wouldn't be freedom. So that's something that happens when we conceptualize it. But instead, by being non-attached to either or, you then are living that freedom instead of conceptualizing it, instead of trying to capture it, instead of trying to grasp it. You see, freedom is free. And if you could attach to it, if you can grasp it, if you could capture it, then it wouldn't be freedom. This is why you can't gain freedom. You can only live freedom. So this integration is really through the embodiment of your true nature. So when you are embodying your true nature, you see what changes is the becoming is no longer a seeking of your true nature, because you are your true nature. The becoming, which is the expression, your self-expression, then flowers. So it can flower in the form of perhaps becoming an artist or a musician, business owner, a parent, a gardener, any of these things. You're always becoming and you're always being. So that continues. But the thing that changes is that it's not coming from a place of seeking your true nature, but actually sharing your true nature. The becoming is an expression of what you are, right? So it doesn't need to be denied. And in this way, there's continual growth, continual evolution, continual maturation, that it continues. This is where if we create some sort of endpoint that doesn't exist, then there's going to feel like a stunting of growth, a stagnation, right? Because this being is always in flux, right? The never changing is expressing as the ever changing. And when there's suppressing your expression, then you're going to experience that stagnation. You're going to experience that stunting of growth. You're going to experience the restricting of the restriction of the maturation, which then is self-evident in a lot of these misunderstandings where there's nobody here, there's nothing to do, why even have a job or a family? And it's this life denial, right? So there's more to go. There's more to go. But as soon as we make a conclusion, which is to end something, to make an end, that's what a conclusion is. is the end. As soon as we come to a conclusion, make an end, then that's what you'll experience. But to be open and to see that actually when we continue to live as our true nature, you see that this is endless. This is endless. This is why I refer to awakening as an adventure, because an adventure has no destination, right? You are life, living your adventure. This is you. You are the adventure. You are the adventure that's unfolding as this present moment. This present moment is you. And the beauty is you get to live it. It's not some sort of passivity where you're detached and denying life. Oh, there's nothing really happening here. And this becomes the new mantra as you're going to your job and you're with your kids. Nobody here, nothing to do. And you're passively witnessing life happening. But at the same time, you are repeating that sort of mantra. This is an example of that immaturity where it hasn't matured. It deepens. It goes further than that. That's just a realization. And yes, on one level, that is true. But at no point are there any stipulations to deny this, right? That's what I mean by there's just simply a swapping from this to that. And whenever there's identification with one thing, you're going to be in resistance to the other. It's that opposition. It's still this attachment and aversion. We're actually being non-attached, the middle way. You experience that paradox as the harmony of the whole. And like I said, you can't understand the paradox. You can only live it. That you are the living paradox. That both the being and the doing are one. Right? So from the perspective of wholeness, it's the best of both worlds. Right? And when this is integrated, when there's nothing denied, when there's nothing rejected, when there's nothing suppressed, right? When there's full expression, full embodiment is full expression. When there's living fully, then you're experiencing your totality. And you see that it's the best of both worlds, that you are intrinsically free from everything. But at the same time, you're free to live fully, right? So it's the best of both worlds. And the master of two worlds lives them as one. If you want to join a community that embraces life instead of escapes life, check out my free community in the link in the description below. I'd love to see you there. See you in the next video.